Andy's, and Kathy's. Who else? And Git's. We're now at Marie's 40th birthday. And also thrown in somewhere was the in-laws.
I think yours was before mine.
I think I was the first, but now we are at the last, which is surely, of our 40th, will surely sign that you're all getting a bit old. Not, however, as old as Rod. We also have a joint celebration of Rod's 80th, which I think makes Rod 40 at the time that Marie was born. My maths could be out, but
still going strong.
now usually when you're thinking about what to do for these speeches, I sort of have a look at the internet and try and get a theme or whatever, but I haven't done this time. So this is, I'm afraid, very much my own personal thoughts on Now I'm not saying they're right, but they are my own thoughts. So in terms of the structure, what I've done is I'll talk a bit about Rod, then I'll talk a bit about Maria, and we can look for common themes in the two of them, depending on their differences or similarities. I'll talk about my initial impressions of them, and perhaps how they've changed over the years, or indeed, have they changed over the years? Because that's whether they've changed is, of course, an important point of discussion and debate, and we'll be voting on it later as to whether we think they have or not. And then very much how I see them and their place in the family. So first of all, Rod, and don't forget we're talking initial impressions of 26 years ago. So my initial impression of Rod was very much he was a traditional father figure, very much a patriarchal figure. He had this job which he went off to in the morning and came back. And it seemed quite an important job, although, quite frankly, I was never really sure. But it did include seemingly offending people. And that gives them the job description. And there's evidence of this. This, which is the concise dictionary of consonants.
Oh, fantastic.
And in just because I was desperate for laughs in this speech, I'm afraid. Just to quote a few.
Do the Muslim one.
Muslims, Muslims, and Asian women doing their knitting, sewing and croquet. No idea what he meant by that. Make her an honest woodman. Continue the Asian theme. There's another Asian one somewhere. Oh God, I can't find it. What's the other Asian one?
We'll hit that bridge when we come to it.
Yes. Take the dog between the tails. Nottinggate Hill riots. Lap of the dogs.
We'll hit that bridge when we come to it.
Jiggling the figures.
So it's mine.
Back in the milking pot.
God, where did you get all that
Well,
it's all in the book.
if we're in need of laughs during the speech, you can quickly consult this. Running around like a yo-yo. Who's that other Asian one? Oh yeah, palisade like a West Indian fought dog-eared. Any idea what he meant?
What did you mean, Rara?
Palisade like a West Indian fought dog-eared.
Imagine them all in his office.
And obviously for the women folk, for that special titillation, there was the crutch of the matter. Also in Rod's job, apparently it consisted of, he once built a toilet. At the time, was it on the A46 or something?
Yeah, 45.
My dad built that. My dad built that toilet.
It was known throughout the
It was known to our residents as a famous
It was a cottaging
meeting
centre
point
in Midland.
for various men, but apparently Rod built it. And he also had something to do with the numbering of the houses in Chelmsley Wood. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, it would be fair to say that I have many cause to be obviously grateful for this in terms of my time of a social worker out in Chelmsley Wood trying to find the bloody houses. Trying to find, you've got a moat going in there. Is that and an auntie Pat being Judge Dealey in Chelmsley Wood? Your family connection with me has made me one of the most hated social workers. One of the initial impressions I had was that he was a real dad. He had a toolbox with kit in it, and he could fix things, he did jobs, and he always knew what to do. You know, he was very practical. And Kath, whenever she said, whenever we had said something as advice to do, I'm going to ask me dad.
Yeah, and then do the opposite.
Nowadays that has changed because it's now, I'm going to ask Andy. And he knows everything. So one of the other thing about Rod is that he had tremendous energy. He always, was going at 100 miles an hour. He never sat still. He was always doing a job. And it's only recently, when I was doing these jobs with him, whatever the jobs he used to grab me along to do, he always used to leave me standing. There was me, young Bill Ireland, and just be doing 100 miles an hour. It's only just recently when we were doing the trees that I was so proud because I managed to do about 5 trees by the time Rob had done 10. It was like, yeah, it was 26 years. I finally got there. They always had tremendous energy. And he was very, one thing about Rod is that I noticed he was always very committed to his community. He had a strong sense of duty, of responsibility, whether that was to both in a wider political sense in terms of the Liberals and SPP, or in the terms of his now a local community in terms of his years at the parish council and various charity things. So a strong sense of community, which obviously has fed through to his children. It was also actually a very strong-willed personality. You didn't actually want to cross him. That was one of the memories that I had with him. So you don't mess with him then. But I have to say, he always treated me with respect. Not always that I felt I deserved it. Particularly, I think after the but that says more about me than it does about Rod. Particularly, I think after the wedding, I think when Rod sort of changed his opinion. So he always treated me. Was always very welcome. Treated me with respect.
He began to get your name right eventually.
I think that was a big indication. So how has he changed? How has he changed over the years, if indeed he has? I mean, my own personal opinion is that I think he has mellowed.
Yeah.
He has become very much more calming and moderate influence within the family. And I know at the previous speech I told of his time at the marriage guidance, when Rod's career as marriage guidance was short-lived due to people being totally and utterly unable to do the advice that Rod told them to do. But nowadays I think that in many ways he would be more suited to that task because he's very much more somebody who has a listening ear, provided obviously he can hear what people say. Not that, however, he isn't still opinionated in his views, as George recently came back from the dinner and said, Rod wants to shoot all the politicians. His sense of community is very much still there, and he's still doing work, particularly charity for, I think, the elderly people in Borsal Common, although I can't help feeling there's a certain amount of self-interest. He has, of course, slowed down, as I've previously said, and he has started to sort of accept, I think, some of the limitations of his age and his body, and that wasn't always something I think that he found easy to do, being such an active person, but he has, I think, very much sort of come to accept that as terms of it. And that's not to say, actually, I didn't need to mention that he is somebody who has suffered from ill health recently, over the last few years, not that you will ever hear him complain about it to us. It's a huge sort of stoic in terms of that. Yeah. So in terms of my view of him as a sort of a traditional father figure, if you like, I feel has very much changed. and in the sense of he's very much more become a mellower, softer person, but in terms of far more embracing and caring within the family, very much changing role within his wider family and has adapted to that change. He is somebody who I very much admire, respect and love, as do all the family.
Yeah.
Maria.
Oh, well.
Now, Maria was in fact only 14, I believe, when I first met her. Interesting enough.
That's a bit freaky.
It was a bit freaky when I found out, when I realised that. So I very much have sort of shared in Maria's growing up from a child into the remarkable one that she is today. Now, even at that stage, at 14, she had a bit of a reputation already for being strong-willed, independent, and pushing boundaries, lying to do the old thing. Changing the colour of the towels at home. Dyeing her hair. Maria's changed the colour of the towels again to dye her hair. And also, not wearing the bras. Which brought the famous phrase, nice girls wear underwear. Clearly a Debrett's tip, which all young girls do well. Obviously, I was going out with Catherine. I was very aware that they were very, they were very different. And even though I think those days when they didn't get on were past, they began obviously to take separate routes. And indeed, Maria took a different path from all her siblings, in the sense that after school she didn't follow the academic route at that time. And she left home at 16 and took up a course in nursing, again showing her independence, and achieved obviously the sufficient exam grades in order to do that. Although I think that was in part helped by the fact she was suspended from school and had no time to. That's not true, you weren't suspended, they just told you not to. Now, it was a hard course Maria had. It was a hard course. It was a hard course. You're freaking me out, Andy. It was a hard course. It was a hard course for me.
No, she looks at
It was a very hard course Maria did, and many fell by the wayside with it, but Maria didn't. Despite the fact, I think quite early on, you realised it actually wasn't for you, but realising it was a good thing to complete it, you did, and you went on to working.
Tooting.
Now, following that course, a period following that course, she met Steve, she moved fluent to Israel, and obviously shortly afterwards Molly and then Neve. And although obviously Steve and her aren't together, they are very much raised two beautiful and talented and intelligent and still continue to do so together. And they are a great credit both to Maria and I say also to themselves.
Go you.
During that time, I very much sort of think of it as a time when Maria took responsibility for her own life, and in many ways, and very much developed her personality, her values, and her living style that very much we see today. Maria's motivation, I often feel, is rooted in compassion, being non-judgmental, and empathising with people, and seeing the best in them, and having strong values as to how people should be treated. Following, I think, these values, she then, when she did go into work, chose to enter the so-called caring professions and work with homeless and drug users, people very much on the fringes of society. That rings true with me, because obviously being a social worker, I understand that. But equally, I very much respect where Maria's coming from, because I know it's something I struggle with, and you don't, which is interesting. During this time also, I think also significant was Maria took a dyslexia test and was diagnosed as dyslexic. And that, I think, had a significant impact in terms of making sense of a lot of things previously in her life, and gave her the confidence to go on to do a degree as a mature student, something which wasn't easy, but you did it and demonstrated both to yourself and everybody else that you could do that. Maria also has a strong community spirit. She's proactive in her community. She believes in making a difference, both in the small and the big issues. She challenges perceived wisdom, and she challenges the majority view, often arguing for the minority view, even amongst ourselves as a
Always.
and does that. Maria embraces life. She's always on the go. I remember once we were thinking as Maria sort of more settled down. Oh, is that why I'm spending it? But clearly not. That was spending my Kath and I are getting in and out of pyjamas at 9 o'clock at night, or 6, as far as Kath's concerned. Maria always think, Maria's hitting the nightclubs.
Not always.
She still has that wild side. She still flings herself into things. She doesn't do things by half measures. Often with Maria, you can take it or you can leave it. Now that, of course, has a negative side. She does speak openly, and she can sometimes, if we speak honestly, and she can sometimes put people out, or people can take offence by her words or actions. But she would not be alone or guilty of that sin amongst us. Often Maria is a contradiction. She's a mixture of naivety and realism and being a hopeless romantic and yet being morally wise. I've always had a special affinity and admiration for Maria for various reasons. Who else would go skinny dipping with me? Which I have to say, Father Richard, I don't think is quite got over. He went, it's been years since I saw a naked woman. He said. Maria's worked hard. She's worked very hard to be the person she is today. Who is much loved by family and her friends, who I think also hold her in high esteem, to become the unique person she is today. I feel she holds a special place within this family.
Yeah.
The family is not whole without her. Certainly holidays are not the same. As Kathy said after her 40th birthday, if people don't get my sister, they don't get me. If people don't get Maria, they don't get this family.
Yeah.
Okay. We've now seen there are common themes between Maria and Rob. Strong will, energetic, commitment to their community, stoic in ill health. Maria also has had that share of ill health. And this has been the bond of a very strong relationship between them. In the early years, I very much evidenced that in their horse riding together. Very strong commitment, granted they nearly killed each other at times, very strong commitment from both of them with dedication and skill and made this a success. As I've said, of course, those similarities have also been the basis of strife, as anybody sharing a car in Italy. Okay, so have they changed? Probably not. But aspects of personality and behaviour tend to alter in response to different situations. Would we have them any differently?
No!
I think not. Happy birthday.
Happy
Well done.
Happy birthday. Well done, Derek.
Oh, presents!
Oh.
I should now bring the presents.
Presents.
Oh, no.
Isn't
Welcome
this
to
one?
Say a Few Words.
Oh God, that's
Well, then we have,
I don't know about this.
Off the cuff.
right, off the cuff. Firstly, I really must say thank you, Derek,
Oh.
on behalf of
Fantastic speech.
you really come up trumps every time. Slag us off, still get away. Well, you don't, you're very truthful. Thank you, Derek, for that. It was a lovely, lovely little speech. Brought tears to my eyes.
I've got that in common.
Emotional, the two of them.
Yeah. Also, I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for being here. And for all of you doing all the work and making cooking and what have you and all the rest of it. Really is very good. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Enjoy. Especially we ought to thank, I think, these two beside me. Caroline and Andy, who, to be honest, have had a fairly hectic couple of weeks. Hardly recovered from last weekend, which was fantastic too, and we got us locked down here. So, but anyway, we thank you very much. Now, I know you're all wanting to see what presents are got and so on, and we need that. I've gone a bit more. I want to say how I feel so blessed, I think, is with the family I've had, the 80 years I've had. I have had a really blessed life. It's been lovely.
We're not ready to give up on you yet.
I've also been very lucky, because there are not many people who manage to not be old enough to get into WW2, who were not, I was too old to go to Korea and things like that, and you've had a period of, you know, plenty, I think. Maybe we're a bit short on occasionally, but on the whole, we've had a pretty good life.
Yeah.
In fact. Partly that is due, I think, to being lucky enough after 6 years to manage to get this girl to the altar.
Thank you.
And we've had 4 wonderful children. And it really it's lovely to have kids like you are, with your partners and your children and the grandchildren as well. The grandchildren are a delight. To see them grow up and mature, shall we say, to see how their characters come through. It's lovely, you know. You just sit there like an old man in a chair and you just watch the kids grow up. And I find that beautiful, actually. So I say thank you for that as well. Now, I don't think I've forgotten anybody, have I? No? I'm sorry, where's Celia disappeared to? She's not well.
I think we don't know.
Anyway, I would like you all to...
Nice in-laws, weren't you?
Pardon?
Nice.
I've just remembered it. Yes. Yes. Yes.
That was the reason why we noticed it.
Go back saying it. So good in that fact. Derek from one hand, right? Caroline on the other. Celia with her what have you. And also, I'm actually welcome, in fact. I'm delighted to see Wayne here.
Now, Wayne, it took Dad about 6 years to get Derek's name right. Already he's getting yours right.
I can smile for the rest of it.
But to finish off, I think I'd like you all to go drink a toast, really, to the family, basically.
Cheers. Cheers. Oh,
Yeah, remember that.
But where's Celia?
She's got to bring you your presents and some money for your holiday that you just had. So for the next holiday,
Surprise winner.
fantastic.
You should have taken the no publicity box.
So it's not 3,000.
with an oversized paying in slip.
Right, you ready?
There go. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh! There's life in the old dog here.
How many young
Who wants to have it
puppies
first?
are
Maria.
And Shem, you had balls to blow out.
Did you make a wish, Rodney? No, right, have to make a wish.
Maria, press the right one. And then there's another one for your dads. Lily, where's the musical And press the bottom one.
The jazz version.
He's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow. So say all of us.
You just press it to stop it, anyone.
Or chucked in the fire.
No, don't chuck it in the fire.
literally hurts, then are we ready? I'm gonna cry.
Oh no!
If you're going to cry, do it here, not outside.
cake
The warmth of every day.
In every way, I'm getting better and better.
Hi, girls. They're lovely.
Where are you?
Molly.
Really, and thank
Cute and what, champagne, please?
me, wave.
It's my one.
Wave.
There's not a lot left in it.
We got together. Many years.
I've got some in the annex.
not
You want to go
gonna
to
cry
champagne?
I'll go away.
So try.
Give it a year or two.
That's it, really.
Well done.
The way.
Just call it something else.
What's she called Wayne something else?
Yeah, you know, just make Rob feel.
Yeah. We should call him Dwayne for the first 6 years.
And Swain.
If only there was another name you could know me by.
okay.
What's your middle name?
Paul.
Well,
Solid.
Solid name.
No.